Hello, everybody. Welcome to Console Shock, and this is episode 15. As usual, it's
15.
me, 15. It's me, Trev, and I'm with Stu.
Hi guys.
So, yeah, we've had a bit of a break, didn't we, Stu? We had Christmas, of course.
We had Christmas and then I went on my travels. Go
Yeah.
and see the mother-in-law.
Yeah. Because you're obviously this big shot video game shop owner. You can just take
Oh
all
my
the tons of cash that you get from the FIFA trade-ins.
yeah. I
Dump
wish
it on
that
a
was the
holiday.
case. Yeah, I wish it made me a millionaire really, but no, nowhere
Just back
near
at
it.
Southend, doesn't it, on sea, perhaps, for a holiday? That's what
Yeah,
about.
exactly. Gets me a travel card.
Yeah. So we're back. And yeah, don't worry that that wasn't an example of the hiatus we just have of any ongoing episode. Sort of lack of episodes. We're going to staunchly stick to our 2 a month. I think is what we aim for.
Yeah.
And yeah, after today, we're gonna stick to that. We've got quite a good few ideas lined up. But yeah, today, sort of keeping with the theme that we had with our last show, which is the Dan and Ravi, the Retro Hour guys. I think that went really well, didn't it, Stu?
No, it's a cracking episode and just, found out a bit more about them and how they did it, how they got into it, and it was a really good episode.
Yeah, I think we caught them at a good time where they haven't really had any kind of interviewee type stuff. So hopefully it was all new. Hearing what those guys do and how they started out, and yeah, they gave us a shout out on their podcast, which is great. So yeah, keeping with that theme, we've got another chap from YouTube who we're both fans of. Slightly more movie themed though, but he does do video game video game stuff. Got shop in the brain now, Stu. Talking about your shop. Yeah, we'd like to welcome to our podcast Oliver Harper from Oliver Harper's Retrospective Reviews. Hi, Ollie.
Hello, Trevor, and hello, Stuart.
Hi
Thanks
there.
for coming on.
No problem.
So we've got you on today. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get everybody warmed up. We'll do a little quick fire round, and then we'll sort of get into getting a few questions out to you, Oliver, and hopefully getting some insight into your channel and what motivates you, and movie related stuff. We might go a bit hardcore on the Laserdisc though. Are you guys prepared for that?
Sounds good to me.
We're
I'm ready
gonna
for
rip
it.
on. Yeah. Instantly tuned out millions of potential viewers, probably or listeners with that. But we'll see
People
how
love
it goes.
laser discs.
I like to think so. Maybe we'll turn a few people onto it. So what we'll do is we'll do a quick fire round. What is the last film that you watched? So Oliver, we'll start with you. What was the last film you watched?
Oh God, bloody hell! Let me think. What last film I watched? Well, I actually watched Johnny Mnemonic, the Japanese kind of.
Oh, the Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I watched it the other night. Not a new film, I'm afraid, but it was alright. It wasn't as long. Well, I didn't see much of a difference between the theatrical cut and the extended Japanese one. It's like a few extra scenes and different. The best thing about it was the score. It was totally different.
Was that the Laserdisc that you had a pickup video, didn't you? A collection video,
That's
and
right,
I saw it there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was one of those evenings where you think, what the hell am I going to do tonight? And it got like a couple of hours before bed, and I thought, right, let's just watch this film and get it over and done with. And yeah, it's not a bad film, but it's very dated now because of the
Very
Keanu
90s.
Reeves. Keanu Reeves trying to store. He's got maximum storage space in his head of 320 gigabytes, and at the time, in 1995 or 96,
right.
like, oh my god, that's so much memory. But now, if they did a remake, it would be like I don't know, 1,000 terabytes or something in his head.
There was like a spate of them, wasn't there, in the 90s? There was Johnny Mnemonic. There was it The Net? Was that the Sandra Bullock one?
Yeah, The Net, yeah, Virtuosity, and it was all that kind of. It was all that kind of virtual reality stuff, and
Lawnmower Man, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone's trying to get hold of that kind of market, but I think Johnny Mnemonic was probably the better out of that sort of trio of movies.
I think they had a handle on actually the kind of the real kind of nature of virtual reality and stuff, as opposed to just you can you physically go into the computer, and it was kind of cheesy and tronny sort of thing. I think they were a bit more realistic about it. Yeah, wow, good choice. I mean, don't feel bad about it being an old film. We love retro stuff, so that's what we based the whole thing on. So yeah, that's cool. Stu?
I saw the film The Passengers in the cinema the other day, and that was pretty good. But
is that the space
the
thing?
space one, yeah, with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, I want to say.
Yeah.
And it was okay, but it's just one of those films where it was just spoiled by the trailer.
Yeah, because I'd not seen that film, and my girlfriend said her sister saw it. Then she told me the entire plot, and I was like, "Well, there's no point in me seeing this film now." But when she told me the plot
the
and what
entire plot,
happens,
yeah.
when she told me the plot and what happens, it was like that was in the trailer, and I was like, "Well, it's kind of
so much
spoiled now."
It happens so much with trailers ruining films. Obviously, Terminator Genisys is the one that really did it for me, because it's obviously the big plot point is in the frigging trailer. It's
Well, it's one of those things where it's when you see a trailer, you don't know what they're showing you as a spoiler unless it's like a key plot point, such as Terminator Genisys. But when you kind of see the film, you think, "Oh my god, that trailer gave away loads." In retrospect, but at the time, it didn't, so it's got a pass. But yeah, with Terminator Genisys, it was such a kerfuffle, with their marketing, and the director was fuming because the director had no control over it. It's all the marketing people. So despite the film being a turd, he was still annoyed that the whole plot was spoiled.
I was so disappointed coming out of the cinema after seeing loads of my mates liked it though. I was like, "What are you on about?" No, I'm
what are they smoking?
I know it was horrific. The first 20 minutes were good. You had the James Cameron blue light. The first thing that made me think, "What the hell," was seeing a T-800 driving a truck. I was like, "Surely that Skynet could just put a chip in the truck or something, or even just a box." But it was like, "Oh yeah, a T-800, you got to go and drive the truck, all right, mate." Okay, it was just.
Well, the strange thing is because you see if they had the skin on, it would be fine. You wouldn't complain. But because when you see an endoskeleton driving a truck, it just seems weird. So it's something that probably James Cameron would have never shown if he did that. But it's possible they can drive.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like something you would have done in the 90s with your T-800 action figure. You would have put them in your like G.I. Joe truck and thought, "Oh, this is funny," but you wouldn't put that in a Hollywood movie.
No, it's.
And then he had that weird thing, like James Cameron had that, like there was the pre-media, like packs that they send out with little video clips. It was James Cameron saying, "This is completely rebooted it. It's awesome. This is really what the Terminator franchise needed." And it was just like, how much did they pay James Cameron to say that?
Well, yeah, he said he wasn't paid, but I think there was probably, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, he's got so much money, he probably would have done it for free just for Arnold. But either his taste, his quality levels are dropping.
I'll do it for Arnold.
Yeah.
Solidarity. So yeah, the Passenger crap then, but you think it's okay actually?
It's all right. It was 7 out of 10, but to me, I enjoyed it. I'd recommend it to sort of other people. Jennifer Lawrence looked lovely in it. Just for that, maybe I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Just for that.
You said the film was all right, but he gives it 8. Come on, too generous. A film that's okay should be a 5 out of 10.
I'm fairly
I don't know.
It, but 10 out of 10.
That's the age-old debate, though, isn't it?
The film was rubbish, but I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
No. If a film is okay, don't give it a 5 because people think it's rubbish. You give a rubbish film 5 and an okay equal.
It's 78%.
And a good one 10.
It's 78% in 90s video game magazine.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to do. Yeah,
78%, and then there's a game that's like 77. Oh yeah, that's 1% less, not as good as like
not quite as good.
Combat. But, what is the calculation? And that was like perfectly reasonable. Anyway, yeah, I guess what a good way of saying it. I mean,
3 out of 5 would be a good rating.
Or the Ebert and Roper thumbs up and thumbs down. Stu, what would you give it if you were forced into a thumbs up or thumbs down?
Well, it wasn't terrible, so I'll have to. If it's an up or a down, I'll have to give it an up. Really.
Okay. Well, we're not buying it. But...
Okay, you got to see it now. I want your opinions on it.
I'm actually going to go and see it. Yeah, the funny thing is, when I saw the trailer, it reminded me of 2 episodes of Star Trek. Sorry, I'm going to go into Trekkie mode a little bit, but there's an episode of Voyager where all the crew have to be put into stasis because there's a weird bit of the.
I remember that one. Yeah.
There were a weird bit of the Delta Quadrant that they're in. It's nothing to be ashamed of not watching Star Trek. In fact, it's probably a good thing. Yeah, all the crew have to be put in stasis, and it's 7 of 9 has to look after the ship and kind of babysit them. And there's weird, it was basically a ghost horror film episode of Star Trek. And there was another episode of Star Trek on Enterprise which is the same thing. They're going through a harmful area of space that they had to put the crew to sleep, and the Doctor is on his own, sort of walking. He gets sort of hallucinates and all that stuff.
Sounds like
that's what it reminds me of.
Here.
Oh, Star Trek doing that? Never. You know, so I'm sure if you really sat down, there's probably only about 3 actual episodes of Star Trek or something that are completely original. So yeah, I'm going to go and see it. But anyway, I'll chuck my one out. Lethal Weapon 4.
Oh, yeah, I like that one. I like that one. It's a pretty good film.
Yeah,
Lethal Weapons are all good.
But there isn't one that
better
I
than number
of.
3. I think number 3 is the weakest at the bunch.
It's still good, but yeah, it's definitely the weakest. 2 is the best one, I think.
Is that the one Patsy Kensit?
Yes, she's the
I like that one
person.
Yeah,
the diplomatic community. It's that's what it's famous for. And obviously, as soon as I was and the bad guy is also the bad guy from very famous English actor from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
That's
film
right.
That he absolutely hates, doesn't he? I think he's like, I've disowned it. I hate it. He's like completely honest about. Yeah, I had to do some films in the 90s because I needed the money. So or Back to the Well, as Ben Affleck calls it. I enjoyed it, even though they're all kind of they all started. It's the first one where they kind of look old. Well, they're not that old, but they're old, and they've crammed in so many stars into it. Like Rene Russo comes back, and you've got what's his face, Joe Pesci's back.
You've got Chris Rock and Jet Li, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jet Li playing a bad guy, a very good one as well actually. Chris Rock is very good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, 2 is still the best one though. I think it goes 2, 1, 4, and 3 is my sequence.
Yeah, I think that's right. I agree with that. Yeah, good list. Yeah.
Trevor, using that rule, how would you number the Police Academy films and the ones you like the most?
Oh God, that's a good question. Probably I mean, it's 7, isn't there? 7 is 7.
I think there's 8. I think there's 8.
Oh, mission.
Was it 7? Was it 7 in Moscow? So
Mission
7,
to Moscow, yeah, or Moscow.
I think that's number 7. I'm not sure if
that's number 7. Shoot, you're just hoping there's an 8th one or something. That's got to be a reboot in the right there, isn't it?
No, please, they've got to just kill that off and never bring it back.
I couldn't. It's been so long since I've watched them. I couldn't even remember what's in Kim Cattrall and that, or isn't it? She's in the first one. Was it the first 2? Probably the first one's my favourite. Bit boring answer, but yeah, that's what I'll go with. So many police-based films in the 90s. What happened?
It's all the buddy cop.
Well, yeah, it's all the buddy cop stuff. Everyone tried to sort of copy that sort of Lethal Weapon formula, didn't they?
Yeah.
And you get endless amounts of them. Some were good and some were bad. It's just Shane Black, who wrote Lethal Weapon, went and did more of those kind of buddy, kind of not essentially a cop thing, but kind of sort of same
bang bang.
Yeah.
It was only the first Lethal Weapon, wasn't it? That he made the characters.
I think he wrote part of. I think he did parts of number 2. I think he's brought back for that one.
I guess he just sat there and just let the money sort of come in for the sequels without actually doing anything on them. But I'm looking forward to him. I think his next film is the new Predator film, isn't it? I think.
Definitely, yeah. That's being written by Fred Decker, who wrote and directed RoboCop 3. But but he wrote. His career went downhill because of RoboCop 3. But he did, Monster Squad. Did some good stuff beforehand, and so I trust him as a writer. So come Predators, it should be a good sequel.
I mean, some people say it's kind of Shane Black actually did some rewrites, I think. In fact, watch your video on Predator and where you talk about it, Oliver.
He basically did. Because he's brought on to rewrite it, but I think he said kind of no, but he did kind of uncredited rewrites and starred in it. So a lot of the kind of witty dialogue in the film is probably from Shane Black's writing.
Yeah, and obviously he's in it, of course. Yeah. Hawkins, he's the guy that does the jokes to the what's his face, the guy who's can't even remember now. So yeah, looking forward to what. I mean, obviously he did Iron Man 3, which is okay. There's not much Iron Man in it, but I thought it was okay, and he directed that, didn't he? Did he write it as well? I don't remember.
Yeah, he wrote Iron Man 3, but his most recent film, The Nice Guys, is definitely the one.
Oh yeah.
One of his best films. I feel he actually put him on my favourite films of last year.
The Nice Guys was a really really good at times. And then I made my girlfriend watch it, and yeah, it's very good.
Did you like it?
Yeah, she thought it was all right. Yeah. She gave
Does anybody really like films, Stuart, around where you live?
giving a
Stu, your like microphone's going a bit crazy. You keep going to some kind of futuristic voice.
Yeah.
You're back.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's gone again.
Gone again. Stu,
I'll just
keep
listen
talking.
for a while and wait for the internet to get a little bit better.
I think you're back again. So it seems that Stu gives everything 8 out of 10, is what we've established. Awesome.
Everything.
78%. Cool.
82,
Okay.
82.
82, 83. So we'll move on then. So the big sort of news, game news, and if anyone doesn't know, Oliver does actually have your Let's Play channel as well, don't you? So you do a bit of gaming stuff as well. I
do indeed. Yeah, mostly kind of retro stuff really, but I do. Yeah. I've been going through some more modern stuff recently, which does confuse people because it's called Let's Play Retro. And then you put up a video like, I don't know, Resident Evil 4, and people are like, this ain't bloody retro. It's like, well,
unsubscribed.
Yeah. It's like, it's not retro really, but if you change the name of it, no one's going to find it, are they, in the search results? So it's like, this makes it easier for me.
It's pedantic, isn't it?
No.
Let's be honest.
I would argue that Resident Evil 4 is a retro GameCube originally. So
I was playing it on the Xbox One, so the game essentially is retro, but it's got a new lick of paint, which isn't really.
Yeah, I mean,
but 60 frames per second, so it was all right.
Yeah, you could argue.
Is it 1080p?
Yeah,
yeah. It's 1080p.
Yeah, 1080p. Yeah.
I won't touch it if it's not 1080p at 60 frames a second.
Minimum. Well, I think it's easy for an Xbox One or a PS4 to sort of run a game like that, because I think they don't actually add more geometry or dramatically increase the sort of polygon count, which means there's that extra overhead to sort of pump it out at sort of 1080p and 60. So yeah, all those sort of games are like that. But to be honest, I consider, if you want to be really hardcore on what retro is, I suppose you probably would say something that's maybe 2 generations removed from what we're currently in. So I guess it's Xbox and PS2 maybe, but
yeah, I mean, I don't really consider them retro either. I mean, if it was for me, it was 32-bit is probably the point where I'd say it's retro, then goes back. It's like Mega Drive, Video and stuff, Jaguar. But it's all down personal preference, really, isn't it? I mean, you could consider like the Dreamcast retro, so that's 128-bit, but
exactly.
Back to bits era,
I guess. 256-bit. We're on 512-bit now, aren't we, guys?
Oh my God.
Bit next, I guess. 1 gigabit console. The bit wars I miss those actually. Now it's the sort of how many lines of resolution wars, isn't it?
Exactly. It's the frame rate wars, isn't it? Really, but
I'm a little bit of a snob. I'm a game on PC now, more than console, so I'm a little bit of a snob with that. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I know. Anyway, what was we gonna get back to? Right, let's get back to the big gaming news. So obviously it's the Nintendo Switch. There was the big sort of announcement. Nintendo like doing these weird, finicky solo things on their own now. They don't really go to your E3s and all that stuff. So it was one of those, and it was basically an overview of the Nintendo Switch. Some of the stuff we already saw in that sort of reveal trailer from a few months back. But it was things like, how it will actually work, how much it will be, some of the launch games, some of the games in development. So, Oliver, what are your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch? Do you think they're going to annihilate the PlayStation?
No, they're not. No. But that may come back to bite me in the butt, basically. I just said that.
I'll give you
I looked at the presentation video, right? And it's a nifty bit of kit, but I'm not sold on it. I'm not going to buy it. Nintendo are kind of stuck now because they had the Wii U and the Wii, both consoles that are basically underpowered in comparisons to the PlayStation and Xbox. Even comparing it to PCs, totally out of the question. And obviously this whole handheld thing. Now it's all designed really, I suppose, for the Japanese market. That's how they kind of see their demographic, and then I presume mobile gaming out there is huge, so they're going to take advantage of that market. And over here in Europe and America, mobile gaming is huge as well. But it seems Nintendo has seen catered for the Japanese market, and for me, seeing the lineup of the games they have, it's another Zelda, another Mario game, which is fine. I mean, I love Mario and Zelda when I was a kid, but it's not enough to sort of draw me back to that, to that new machine, because I didn't bother with the Wii U. Got a Wii when it was like, about 2 years ago, so that was already really dated and had its run at that point. So, I mean, the cost of it, it's going to be what, £300 maybe.
280, I think is what they announced.
Here. So it was the currency exchange at the moment. I mean, because Apple won't budge on lowering their price, they've actually raised their prices due to the value of the pound. I mean, if Nintendo just do a switcheroo with the dollar to the pound, it'd be £300. Or obviously they're saying 280. So I mean, it's not that expensive. I mean, if you're in your mid-20s or above, you've got a full-time job, it's probably not going to be that expensive in your eyes. But for younger people, it would be one of those sort of had to wait till your birthday or Christmas to get it. But I don't really see the attraction of just taking the game with me somewhere else. It will just end up you end up getting it damaged along the way. And it's got 2.5 hours battery life to maximum of 6. It's not going to be 6 hours on that. That's going to die after 3 hours. It probably have
4's the best I think you'll get, isn't it, in real world terms?
Yeah. You probably have to have like the screen brightness down really low to make the batteries last. I don't know, but
Wi-Fi off.
Yeah. It's. I'd rather just them. This is just me nitpicking, but I'd rather have them just have a really powerful just a console, not this handheld rubbish. Just go straight to like. What the Nintendo 64 should have been, where like I had a CD drive, the state of the art thing, and have that. But no, it's not. I'm not sold on it at all.
Stu, you've already pre-ordered one, I understand.
I've pre-ordered one, and I don't know whether or not I'm going to flip the Switch.
See what we did there.
No. Chances are I will probably keep it, and I'm genuinely quite excited about it. And to be honest, to disagree with you there, Ollie, it's the portableness of it. For me, that's sort of almost the beauty of it, because for myself to play games on the big TV when my girlfriend's always watching 7 out of 10 films, it's always a little bit difficult. And to be able to sort of take the games and go to another part of the house and play them, that's something that I think that'll be pretty good. And my sort of main reservation is what we're sort of talking about sort of previously. I like playing games at 60 frames a second. I like this. I like that. You're probably not going to get that on this, is where it hasn't quite got. People are saying, it's really slightly better as a PS4 or an Xbox One. So there's going to be sort of an inbuilt problem. So it's all got to be sort of about the game. So I am going to get it. I will support it. I feel it's going to be cool. The only thing I've been sort of thinking about the system, sort of what I'd like to see actually in the future, Nintendo Lite. So it actually comes out, you can just buy the console, and maybe it's £100 without the separate controllers. So you can go out and about, and you don't actually have to buy the whole kit. Just sort of the portable things, the 3DS, and generally. So now
you're both. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, you keep sounding like something from the future.
Sorry.
I'll tell you what. I'll jump in with my thoughts and let your internet stop being annoying. Yeah. So I think I got what you're saying though. There, like they should perhaps have different SKUs, where one is perhaps just with the actual handheld unit, and you're not paying for the dock or anything. I think my thoughts are. Half of it I think is good, and half of it I think is a bit naff. It depends on how they're selling it though, because as a home console, it's very underpowered. It's too expensive to compete with the PS4 and the Xbox One.
I don't it's unearned.
It's underpowered.
For-
Yeah.
It is.
Stu, you're still
Pretty
cutting
fair.
out. You're
I'm
still
just
cutting out.
agreeing with you.
All right, good.
Sorry, buddy.
Stu's agreeing with me. So mate, I see what you were saying there. I think it's probably a good idea to have different options to change the price. I mean, I was hoping it'd be about £200. So I think if it was £200, I think it would be a pretty good system.
Well, surprised me though, because it's quite a hefty price for most people. I mean, obviously the PS4 and the Xbox One are cheaper, but also the accessories are very expensive. So you'd think, okay, if the console was a bit cheaper, then they could probably justify and not take as much heat for the expensive controllers. But also, the virtual console they've got where you can rent the games, you can't actually buy them now. Is that right? You can only have it for like a month and it disappears.
Yeah, they give you sign up to their internet thing. There's like Xbox Live, the Nintendo version. We get I think is it 2 free virtual console games, and you don't keep them. They disappear when the next.
Well,
month.
you just be like, well, if it just disappear, you'd be like, right, okay, look at my emulator, boof, got Super Mario World, Link to the Past, done. I'm not, So it's a bit cheeky because actually the weird thing is, because the other day I thought to myself, all right, I'm going to play my Nintendo Wii again and go on the virtual console and play some games. Plug in the Wii to my 4K TV, got a component cable, should be all right. Picture's fine. I downloaded Landstalker on the Mega Drive and Last Blade on the Neo Geo. Can't play them. Picture goes black. I was like, wait a minute, what's on the picture? Because some of the virtual console games weren't actually upscaled or coded in a way for it to play on a modern TV. So the only way to play it was to plug in the composite cable into the TV, but through component
bang out the wrong signal.
Yeah, it's at 240p. So I was fuming, and I thought, right, okay, I've got to try and get around this. And apparently you've got to have a nunchuck to change it to interlaced before you load it up. I was like, well, I haven't got a nunchuck. God. How am I going to do this? So that annoyed me. So I was like, right, Nintendo, you've lost me as a customer. So
that's way too much
upscale the games properly, and it cost me like 21 quid for like what 3,000 points. It's a rip off, man. Like, I'm not,
money for old rope.
But I mean, if for example, because Stuart's pre-ordered it, he wants to get this Nintendo Switch, which is great. But if I'm just hoping that a third-party company is going to come out and support them in droves, like they kind of did with the GameCube at the beginning of Nintendo Wii. They did, but everyone kind of petered out, didn't they? Because EA, didn't EA see notice? Which company kind of left the Wii, didn't bother to support them? What was it?
Well, the Wii. A lot of them were there at the beginning with the Wii U. I mean, EA banged out. They did get a Mass Effect 3 out. They managed to do they did one FIFA, and they basically dropped them like a rag straight away.
Because no one was buying them, were they? Because everyone was buying the first party titles by Nintendo. No one wanted the kind of inferior ports on the Wii. So could this happen with the Switch? So
supposedly they're all back on board, but it's difficult to say. Like, you could sign up and say, we're going to make a game, but it's a different thing to actually go and do it, isn't it?
The guy from EA was there at the Nintendo Switch presentation.
He looks so bored.
And the guy from talking about FIFA, I don't think they even showed any footage, did they?
No, FIFA. I mean, the rumor is no, he didn't. He was sort of just a big red logo.
Okay, great. He's there, but where's the footage? I don't want to see it. That's the thing. Because with all video games, I mean, even with the Zelda thing, I mean, I'm sure that was probably in-game graphics, but the presentation they had at the end was just a trailer. I was like, well, a trailer's not going to do nothing for me, because with films, a trailer's that's what it's designed for. But video games, when it comes to trailers, if you're not showing game footage, you're not going to win.
Cutscenes, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't want to see a cutscene. I want to see what the game bloody looks like. When it plays.
Hence Let's Play channels. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I bit this interested with FIFA because me and Stu kind of play a lot of football games, and it looks like they'll probably just knock out the Xbox 360 version of FIFA.
They'll just port it over.
Still being developed. Just port it over. Yeah, maybe it'll just get a slight boost to 1080p. That actually does interest me though, because you could start playing career mode in that, and it'd be cool just to be able to grab it out the dock when you go on your train. It takes me an hour to get to work, so that's a time when I'll be able to play it and on my lunch break or something. And it's the actual not playing. Yeah.
Did the Wii U have that function where you can take the game on the go?
Not exactly. You had the gamepad, which had the screen on it, but that was basically just for you to do it in the house that you're in, as long as you stay within range. And
right. Okay. So basically, the Switch
cool.
is basically a more advanced version of the Wii U, right? So you can just
you can basically leave your house.
Yeah.
You can now leave your house where it's nice and warm and comfortable.
You can go for a dump with the Wii U, but that's as far as you'll be able to go with your game.
Well, you
that,
go on the
doors
box of it,
open,
and end up getting your Nintendo Switch stolen off someone, by someone, So that's the risk,
So Stu, sorry, I think you're back. You're alive again, are you, with your internet? What were you saying? You think they should do a cheaper version?
Hopeful. The Wi-Fi signals going around.
You're still breaking up, Stu. It sounds quite funny, actually.
What do people think about it?
Stu, we're still losing you. Go and sit next to the Wi-Fi. Sit next to the router.
Plug it in with Ethernet cable.
Plug it in with Ethernet cable. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, if you market it as a handheld, it's a nearly £300 handheld, and that's not going to appeal to the parents that bought the 2DS for their kids. It isn't going to do well from that. And then if you market it as a console, it's an underpowered console that's going to come out. It's nearly £300. Well, they don't get anything with it as well. Just the pad. You
get no game.
No game. No demo.
No game.
Demo card or cartridge. It's cartridge based, and it's 32 gig storage, which is one game.
It's cartridge based as well. That's
they're
going back to cartridge again. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that actually isn't too bad. So because now we're kind of going to sort of digital downloads anyway, and sort of SD card technology has kind of caught up with this.
True. Yeah.
Very expensive. Very expensive.
It drives me nuts. You get a new game, you plug it into your Xbox or PS4 or whatever, and you got to wait ages for it to download. And install. It's like you can't. If you had no internet, you had terrible internet where you live, like Stuart.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you know what? I've got 150 megabyte Virgin Fiber internet.
Back against you.
Yeah.
Really?
Shit.
Yeah, it's working now. You see, so I've got Virgin with that same speed, but upload is about 10 megabytes. So if you got, see, that's the thing you want, because sorry, it's a completely different subject now. But talking about internet, but it's like. It drives me nuts, right, when you see all these companies go, because if you're running a YouTube channel or you're uploading stuff a lot,
I mean, you need that, presumably.
You need the upload speed, but Virgin, their max upload is 10 or 12 megabytes, and I think Sky maybe offer like 3 megabytes more, but it's a joke. This country's terrible. It's all about download speed, but they never mention upload speed. In the other countries,
you 1080p full res sort of stuff, don't you? So you need like
another country, you often get equal amount of download to upload speed. Over here, they're like really restrictive on it. I don't know why. It's really peculiar.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like for the longest time when fiber came out, I was like, do you really need like a billion megabyte a second? Because all streaming movies and all that was fine. But now, as someone that as a primarily PC gamer, most of your games you get off Steam and you have to download them.
I mean, 50 megabytes is perfectly fine, but if you're like we're doing now, we're talking over Google Hangouts or Skype, you're sending data, so you need like maybe 5 to 10 max of upload speed, because if you've got 1 megabyte, you're going to be screwed, So
I mean, Stu's clearly stuck on like 512k, some kind of BBS file.
I don't know what's going on with it. I think we've got to do it about 2 in the morning when there's not much bandwidth going. Then I'll be fine.
On a good run with you.
Yeah, Virgin will always throttle your broadband around dinner time because everyone's using it. So
yeah.
But a good example of it is like Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain, which I got for my birthday a couple of years ago. So it came out pretty much bang on my birthday. The PC version. So you got DVD of it, but I opened up the box and it was just one disc, and I was like, oh. And it turns out all it had on it was the Steam installer. There was no game data on the disc.
No. So if you had no internet, you couldn't play it. You couldn't.
No.
I want to go back to days where you just you plug in the game, you can play it fine without no internet. But if you want to download a patch, fine, get an internet. But I want to.
Huge now.
But realistically, most people have the internet now. If not everyone who wants to play Metal Gear Solid and got a PC to play Metal Gear Solid, you know, chances are at least got 1 megabyte internet.
Yeah, but it's like the game is 60 gig, so you know,
it'd take forever, wouldn't it? And then the amount of power and electricity you've had to use to sort of keep the console running to sort of download it. Yeah, it's going to cost you more in the long run, probably.
I mean, even like some companies are better than others. I mean, EA are pretty good at releasing PC versions on physical media. Like FIFA 17, I actually was able to get a physical copy of it, and it came on 5 DVDs. Which you think it's a football game, but
put it on a Blu-ray, you know, it's ridiculous.
DVDs.
5 DVDs, yeah. I think the biggest, the biggest one I've got is Grand Theft Auto 5 PC version. That's on 7 DVDs. You get a beautiful box set, and they're all like beautifully printed. You get this lovely gatefold thing, so it's almost worth. People were buying it just for to get. It's almost like a collector's edition. Yeah.
Trevor, how many floppies would that be on?
Oh god, that would be like it'd be Monkey Island times 1,000 probably.
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, well, even like I remember near the end of the 360's lifespan, you had. I've got Alien Isolation for it. That was on 2 DVDs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Have you got the old?
There are a few games.
Buggered.
Lost Odyssey was on 4 DVDs.
That wasn't even. That wasn't even a later one, was it? That was like.
That's a very early one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna get Alien Isolation for the Xbox One because I've already gotten a 360. But when I reviewed it for the 360, because I looked at other comparison videos of the Xbox One and PS4 version, because it was, I'm sure it would, because it was built, well, it was designed on, you know, the 360 or PS3 in mind. They essentially upscaled it for the Xbox One. It runs a little bit smoother, but I thought it's not justified. I'm not, you know, spending £10 on a game I already own. There's no point in upgrading. Yeah. But it's something.
I touched upon it.
Love to go. I would like to go back to that game again. Actually, did terrify me.
You might have heard in our last show. I might be the one before actually. I've actually completed it 3 times. It's hard.
Well done.
Really hard and frustrating, and it makes you want to throw the controller. But I'm a big fan of the Alien films. They're my favourite films, so I'm kind of receptive to it already.
Well, so you've gone back to play it on hard, have you?
Is that right? So I bought it on the PC, and I've got it on the 360. So I went through it on the PC on regular. I daren't touch it.
I did it on regular. I did it on normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was saying playing on hard for because they say it's too easy. Bollocks! It was. It's just a lie because it was still hard on normal.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stuart said this to you last time, didn't I? Well, I think medium or the normal difficulty is actually the one the developers want you to play. That's what they base. That's what they build the game on, and then they just crank up some of the settings to higher to make it harder, or turn those down to make an easy mode. The medium is what the developer built from the ground up. So I just played it on that, and then I think when I got it on, I picked up a 360 version for cheap, and I played it through on there, and I think I did it on easy just so I can sort of casually sort of do it. Still died a lot even on that. It's also very long. I mean, it's 20 odd hours, isn't it?
That's good value for money. I like that. I like
it.
Games.
Yeah, it got slated for that though, didn't it? It was way too long.
It's funny. It's just people nitpicking. It just drives me nuts. It's like if you pay 60 quid for a game, or £40 over here.
Yeah.
You complete in 5 hours. I'd be like, whoa, what else is there to do with it once you've completed it within 5 hours? I mean, I want a game that's going to, be 10 hours plus 15 hours. Obviously, some games can be artificially. Some games can be artificially extended, which can make it a little bit cheap. But Alien Isolation, there was enough variety to justify the length. Yeah,
it was a pretty good story as well. I mean, I like it kind of was a bit cheesy when you play the daughter or the son of some character because it's a sort of out of canon, kind of little spin-off thing. But I actually like that, and the little cameos from Sigourney Weaver did a bit of some voice cameos in it. I like this. I did the DLC as well. I mean, it's only about the crew expendable was only about half an hour long.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I had to go at that, but I kind of died a few times. I went, nope, I'm not doing that now. It's hard.
Yeah, it's really hard. Well, this doesn't happen in the film. They all sort of, Sigourney Weaver survive. But it's literally just the vent scene from the first Alien film. and it's also the sort of the end bit with the ridiculously long
You got to escape, haven't you, really quickly?
Yeah, and you screw the thing. It's literally the same. You go and screw down the weird things, the tower things, and push them down, and do all that. Yeah, it's like, and it's only about half an hour long, but it's all right. It's kind of cool to be in the film and actually be, because there's this whole thing.
I hope they do a sequel, really, because I'm sure Alien Isolation did sell well. I think a lot of people bought it, so hopefully they would. Hopefully they will do a sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it sold less than Colonial Marines, though. I think, which is the thing.
Really? Oh God.
Yeah, I think that sort of shifted about 3 or 4 million, but Isolation I did about sort of 2. Probably because it wasn't sold as like, get a big machine gun out and just shoot aimlessly at stuff. It was more of a very.
The reviews are far more positive, weren't they? And the feedback was a lot better.
Yeah.
It's a proper.
What's that? Sorry to interrupt. What's that? Alien game on the PlayStation 1. It was the first one to have dual shot.
Alien Resurrection, wasn't it? Was Alien Resurrection had that, or was it Alien Trilogy?
Well, there was a
Resurrection, I think.
Yeah, that invented
a really bad review because they didn't like the controls, and now every first-person shooter is controlled the same way.
That's right. Yeah. Because actually, it was on Larry Bundy, didn't he? He mentioned it. Yeah.
It's actually literally the current FPS layout on a joypad that pioneered it,
isn't it?
With one stick to look around, the other one to aim, and then sort of like your triggers to fire you. It's a good game. It was made by Argonaut, who made Star Fox, tons of like Nintendo games, and it was Argonaut that made that game. It's better than the film.
It just took forever to come out, didn't it? Because when the Alien Resurrection, the film came out, like the rental tape had the trailer for the game. Yeah. And the game was totally different, what they advertised. It was basically just really crappy like cutscenes, like CGI cutscenes. And then when I was working at
one after, actually, it was 3 years.
Yeah, I was working at Game when it came out back in I worked at Game from '99 to 2003, and
wow,
yeah, so that came out at that point when I was working, and I think it did all right, but I mean I think it arrived a bit too late, really.
It did, yeah. I think the Dreamcast was already out, and the PS2 was starting to get hyped up, so it kind of got sort of.
Yeah, I was there at a Game when they had all the House of the Dead 2 light guns and the game, like the box set, all come in. We had hundreds of them. I was like, "Oh,
you lucky kid."
I love the Dreamcast days when I was working there.
Oh God, you and Stu, you guys can have some war stories about working in video game retail. When I worked in retail, I worked at an Apple store for nearly 4 years. So,
right.
We could probably exchange a few stories on that. Maybe that's another show, working in retail episode.
The best thing about working in the shops is trade-ins, because you'd always get the biggest trade-in game when I worked there was obviously the FIFA games, the old ones. They bring in FIFA 2001, whatever, trade it in for the new one. Or you had endless amounts of Metal Gear Solid 2, hundreds of copies.
God.
Because once you complete it, there's no reason to go back to it, essentially, for most people. So
exactly. Yeah.
Tons and tons of copies. Just couldn't get rid of them.
I suppose you just pile up. It's like Stu. You get a. How often do you literally get someone coming in trying to trade in a FIFA, Stu?
It's quite often. Yeah, quite often.
But every day, some kid comes.
No, it'll be every day, but not necessarily the latest one. And
always
all the ones, and and they get a 5p for it, and they're happy, and
Yeah,
5p for it. So your shop, you sell all sorts, just retro stuff as well, and
we do new stuff. We do lots of retro games. That's what we really focus on, and we do a lot of trading cards as well, and Gundam figures we're getting into, plushies and stuff like that. Really,
what's the most popular retro console you sell? Basically, what most of the customers come in for.
Always looking for Super Nintendo. I mean,
Super Nintendo, is it?
That's the popular. Yeah, that's the popular one. Then you get Mega Drive. Then you get the original NES, and then all the other systems really sort of follow that.
Oh right. Well, the SNES stuff. Because the last number of years, isn't it? The Super Nintendo is it's gone. The prices have gone through the roof because I see so many other people kind of talk about them and collect them. It's because obviously when they're boxed, it's like double the price and.
Well, it's the boxes that help, I think, with the the sort of mystique. Obviously, Nintendo had this mystique around them anyway, but they're kind of like the Apple of sort of video games, almost. But I think the boxes are a big factor because I can't imagine, Stu, you probably don't have many, like I would say, mint boxed SNES games. I think they're all just loose, right?
But we do have people who come into the shop and they literally analyze the box. And they want to see, has it still got the warranty card in, and things like
the plastic
this.
bag for the cartridge to go in or something,
Yeah.
We do photos on Facebook and stuff like that, and we're lots of photos of it. Oh, it's what that, and because people want all of the classic Super Nintendo games lined up on their wall as perfect as they possibly can. And for myself, it's I'm a little bit of a collector, but if a game's unboxed, I'll still get it. If if it's missing its instructions, oh well, so be it. I want to play the game, and
that's it about
stuff
it.
like that.
You want to play it because I've seen that's the thing about when on YouTube. It's all when a lot of the the most popular sort of content creators who do video game stuff, they're always usually retro games. So they like to show off their collection, what they've got. And then the audience are kind of watching it going, oh, I want to do that as well. And they all kind of get the bug to sort of collect retro stuff, but they don't realize the amount of money they've got that's got to go into it. Because usually these guys have been collecting retro games on YouTube for years. So they've spent money over like a decade or more, where now everyone just rushes out to get as many games as possible, thus driving up the prices kind of to unrealistic.
It's great. It's great for my shop. Games. But I've always said, and I've probably said it on this podcast before, the easy thing is selling the games. That's anyone can do that. You just take lots of photos, put it on Facebook. People will come into shop and buy it. Easy. But the actual difficulty is getting the games into the shop and getting people to
part with them,
trade them in, and that's what
you don't often get the dream thing of, like, someone's mum coming in because their kid left home.
I mean, it has happened. It has happened. People have come in with absolutely mint collections, and we always give people a fair price for stuff. And I say, do they know what they've got here? And just hard work over the years to build up that stuff constantly coming in. But the thing, I'm sorry to keep going on, but the thing I really hate is people who go for complete collections, and they're great for our shop, but then there's some guy comes in there for 2 games and he goes, oh yeah, I'm getting a complete collection of all the PS2 games. Okay, well, that's great.
Mental? It's like there's so many games.
I think there's 2,500.
That's unrealistic.
It's about 10,000, I think.
Just rubbish.
Half of them are FIFA.
Yes, FIFA. There's club football. There's
football.
Yeah, I'm halfway. I collect, and I do try and focus on complete in box, but I only get games that interest me. And my intent is to play them.
Exactly.
I'm not a shelf collector, as Pat the Nez Park sort of coined that. So I'm not a shelf collector. I think the most I've spent on a single game might be about £60. I think that was Mario All Stars.
That'd be mine, mate. I spent £300 on a Metal Slug 3 US AES cart back in 1999. Back in 1999, maybe 2000.
I was in Thailand walking around this shopping centre. This story's not going in that direction, so don't worry. And I found this shop. I was bored out of my head. I found this shop, and I went in there, and they had a copy of Metal Slug.
Oh, just lost you.
Metal Slug. We lost
a dramatic moment then. Dramatic pause.
Yeah. So I found a copy of Metal Slug. I think it was 1 or 2, and it worked out. I translated the money. It was something over £1,000 for this game.
Fucking hell.
And it was just absolutely, I thought, I want that.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned before that I like to get a Neo Geo CD stuff. I'm not that. I've never been about the cartridge.
You want a CDZ one or CDZ?
The one that's got the double speed drive. Yeah, it's not.
Well, it's not double speed. It's just got a faster catch, so you can transfer data quicker. It's, you
I
know,
think you're right. I think you're right there. But
was it GameSat got that wrong? Getting their facts wrong.
You better comment. Did you comment on that in the?
I think I did. They were,
right.
yeah. But
Yeah.
actually, the biggest gaming blunder I ever did with collecting retro stuff, when the Dreamcast came out in Japan, because I've mentioned this maybe a couple of times on my Let's Play channel, because it's one of the biggest regrets ever. One of my old friends still talks to me about it. I had a huge collection of Sega Saturn games, and the console, my console was chipped. It could do Japanese, America, had a 50, 60 hertz switch.
So you didn't sell them all, did you?
Oh, wow. Yeah, you have the full works.
I had everything. This is like in 1998, 99, or it must have been when the Dreamcast came out in Japan. I traded it all in for like literally a Dreamcast and one game. I had Burning Rangers, Panzer Dragoon Saga. I had Virtual Cop 1, House of Dead, X-Men vs Street Fighter, Radiant Silver Gun. I traded in for 20 quid. I had all the games, and over the years, have become extremely expensive and rare, especially like Panzer Dragoon Saga. Everything was mint. I had like 100 games, and it was all traded in for Dreamcast in one game. I was stupid. I love that the Dreamcast was
I'm disgusted by that. Get off.
I was so annoyed by by what I did. And I tried to I got a Sega Saturn again like 5 years later, but you can never get it all back.
Yeah, I'm a big Sega fanboy, so the boxes are to find Saturn games with good quality boxes is hard as well, because Sega made horrendous boxes. They're the crappy bits of cardboard wrapped around a rubbish sort of plastic frame. The card, and sure you've probably seen this with all the games you've got in the shop. The cardboard bit comes away from the
they took
the glue. Yeah. Annoyingly, they had two kinds of boxes. They had the cardboard ones, which are the majority of the 95 to about 1996 releases. But they did at the same time have a sort of Mega Drive style, really nice, all plastic box.
They did. Yeah, they were
good. That was the EA games, weren't they?
I've got Sega Rally 2 twice.
That's right. Yeah, the EA ones, like Soviet Strike had that. I mean,
the big chunky
FIFA. I think the Madden games, they all had all the sort of nice clamshell boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the apparently that was actually fairly early on in the Saturn's lifespan, but they just made way more of the cardboard ones because it was cheaper. Well, I've got Sega Rally 2 twice. I've got the cardboard rubbish one, and I've got a plastic nice DVD type box. When I got it, I was like, really? It was in a bundle, so I kind of wasn't aiming to get that game. I already had it. And then I picked up Sega Rally, and it was like, oh, this is interesting. It's actually released. I thought it was someone printed out, the sleeve and put it in like a nice custom case. But no, when you opened up the case, it had the Sega Saturn logo sort of like molded in inside. So yeah, it was. And later on, when you started hitting late '96 into '97, they basically had that as the normal case.
Right.
But yeah, you get them in horrible nick, and the disc falls off the teeth of the disc holder, and it rattles around
around.
I did have the complete complete collection of the Sega Saturn official magazine, like issue 1 to whatever it was, 36 or something like that.
Yeah, I got the first one. I still got the video as well that came with it.
I had the whole. I had all of them. I gave them all away to a friend because he was doing okay, because he followed me on YouTube, and and he kind of supported me through Patreon and stuff. And I knew he collected Sega Saturn stuff because he was doing, as Stuart was saying, doesn't really like people being complete, collecting a complete collection. But that's what he's doing with the UK PAL format for Sega Saturn. So I just gave all my magazines to him. I thought to myself, well, I could sell them, but it's just the cost of shipping. I thought, nah, let's give it to
heavy.
Let's give it to someone who's going to, cherish them. So,
There's only about 300 PAL Saturn games, so it's not a huge task. But obviously, there's a lot of chuff like in that umpteen like EA Sports games and stuff.
Well, no, because recently that guy who's done, they've improved the emulators now for the Sega Saturn. Because that guy managed to hack it about a year ago or just under.
Yeah.
So, if you wanted to play Panzer Dragoon Saga, you could probably play it now, okay, without any hiccups. But
the emulator's called the one that I use is called SSF, and it's made by a Japanese chap, and it plays pretty much everything. I think. Everything I've thrown at it. I think. Do I have trouble with anything? No. I mean, it runs everything. It's a bit clunky, and it's a bit awkward to get going. You don't need a BIOS file, which a lot of these sort of for the CD.
Yeah, mine does. Mine does. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can add one. It might help with some games, but it actually makes some games worse having a BIOS file, which is kind of weird.
That's weird.
Yeah, strange. But yeah, and it runs really, really well, which is amazing because the Saturn was famous for having a horrendous architecture. When you really got a hold of it, and like Sega especially, of course, you could make things.
Well, you
that
get good
pretty
stuff like
much-
Guardian Heroes, don't you? And Radiant Silvergun, and
Yeah.
the Treasure.
When you build
wasn't
something
good
from the
at
ground
it,
up.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a Saturn in those sort of clothes, again, like you, Ollie. I was a huge fanboy, and the only version of Wipeout 2097 I had was the Saturn version.
Same
now
here.
I can
Same here. Yeah.
compare them. Yeah, and it was great to me.
It played perfectly well, man. Just didn't have the transparencies or the music. So the music
exactly.
was
Yeah,
right, though. So
yeah, it was good. They had to take out the Firestarter and put the Prodigy stuff. But
well, that's the thing, though, because when your mates still had the PlayStation, they go, "Oh, my console's better than yours." Like, okay, I go, "All right, then come around mine. Let's play X-Men vs Street Fighter." And they'll be like, "Oh my god!" Then they go buy it for their PlayStation, and they're like, "I can't swap the characters." I'm like, "There you go, man. You need to get."
And you had the old the RAM cart. Slap the RAM cart in, and you'd have even more frames of animation, and
exactly.
I remember
no
like
times either with that.
Yeah, X-Men v Street Fighter on the Saturn. It came out on the PlayStation 1 as well. Literally, if you play as the Incredible Hulk or someone like, I think Marvel Superheroes vs X-Men, it's one of those. But basically, Incredible Hulk, he has his punch animation is just 2 frames. It's about to and actually doing it on the Saturn, it's got the complete like 8-9 frame. If you have the RAM cart, and that's basically that illustrates it. But yeah, with the 3D games, it was just I think with Wipeout, what we were just talking about, I think the frame rate is a little bit lower.
About 20 frames, I think, probably.
Yeah, as opposed to 30. Sorry, Stu.
On the Sega Saturn, it was all the 2D shooters as well.
Yes,
that's why I've got a bit of a thing for collecting. And I've Dodon Patchy and our layer section and the Proteus games has got a bit of slowdown, but there were some amazing 2D shooters on there that I don't know, just don't seem to be appreciated.
Well, it's only it's the only successful Sega console in Japan. It was number 2 to the PlayStation.
Yeah, that's right. Because the Mega Drive was always like 3rd, wasn't it? When it came out.
Yeah, the PC engine was more successful. And the Dreamcast, it was kind of dead on arrival, nearly. But mainly because the Saturn was so successful, people were like, "What? I've got my Saturn. I'm quite happy with that."
I remember the Dreamcast doing quite well when it came out in Japan. I think it did. I think it sold initially pretty well, but I think I think most people had saved their money for the PlayStation 2 because it had the DVD playback.
Yeah, so, and I mean, they didn't show anything in like their bloody. We talked about it.
The PS2's lineup, their launch, especially in the UK, was crap. The games are rubbish. I mean, they weren't particularly amazing ports. They weren't like,
Ridge Racer 5 was the best game.
You could look at Shenmue and then look at Tekken Tag and go, well, Shenmue looks far better than Tekken Tag, So
yeah, or our PlayStation 2 episode, I think we said, didn't we, Stu, that it wasn't until the following Christmas when you had the GTA 3, Grand Theft Auto 2, and a decent FIFA game, that was when the sort of PS2 kind of started. So we looked at sort of 2001, really.
A FIFA game, a decent FIFA game, the UK will go nuts because the Dreamcast didn't have that. This had
exactly.
Virtuous Striker or something.
About 3 or 4 different football games, but none of them people wanted FIFA. That was the one they're all familiar with.
The thing that annoyed me, the Saturn had a really good football game in Sega Worldwide Soccer, which is actually
I love that game. It was so good.
Yeah, it was better.
My friends were obsessed with football, and they all loved their International Superstar Soccer. But they came out to play. They always preferred Worldwide Soccer on the Saturn.
It was a very awkward transition from the 2D football games to 3D, and the first 2 FIFA games were terrible. And then Sega Worldwide Soccer came out, and it was a really good 3D football game. It was about a year before ISS 64 and Pro Evo and all that stuff, so it had a bit. But when they made when the Dreamcast came out, there was a Sega Worldwide Soccer game, but it was actually WLS World League Soccer. That engine upscaled. It wasn't Worldwide Soccer, and it wasn't the same team that made it on the Saturn, and it ruined it. It was all right, but in America it was a different story because Visual Concepts, I think, is the name of the team. They got a team to make an NFL game, which is good, and an NBA game.
That was good,
yeah. So they didn't need NBA Live or
they became 2K, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right.
That split into all the 2K games,
which is still going. Yeah, I mean, NBA is still going. That started on the Dreamcast. NBA 2K was the first one. It's still pretty good. But yeah, that's kind of killed it. That killed it for them because EA were like, it's funny because EA were huge mates with Sega, and it was them that kind of helped the Mega Drive become popular with Madden and Desert Strike and all those great EA games. But by the time the last Saturn game, FIFA 98 was the last Sega EA game. Perhaps,
it was, yeah, it was. That got reviewed terribly. I mean, the port was really rubbish. Like the graphics
it's terrible.
were bad. But it actually was quite playable because I remember buying it because it was cheap, and I knew the official magazine, Sega Saturn magazine, gave it like whatever it is, 50% rating or less. I went, I went and bought it. It was like 10 quid. I thought it's actually pretty playable, but it was a mess to look at. It looked utter toilet.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because if the gameplay is just about intact, it plays the same as the PlayStation version.
Yeah, it does.
But the players I think they have less polygons, so they're really chunky and oversized, and the frame rate really tanks at certain points. But everyone's like, it's unplayable, it's terrible. You can still play it, and you can have a game, and it's fun. But it was just disappointing. But by that time, I think they probably chucked like some work experience guys to do it, and I think they'd given up by then because the previous FIFA games were pretty much identical.
But then you had that FIFA 96, and was it 96 one? Is basically just a port of the 3DO game, which was actually good. Actually, it was better on the 3DO than it was on the PlayStation, I think.
It was, yeah. I think EA were it was their console, wasn't it? The 3DO. Trip Hawkins, the chap that sort of started EA. So it's a shame because the Saturn, if it was supported, I think Sega shot themselves in the foot with the CD, Mega CD, and the 32X really, and that kind of doomed the Sega Saturn from the beginning, and the £400 price point. I think it would have survived releasing it. A lot of people put a bit too much emphasis on it. Came out too early, so you got a crap Daytona. Actually, that was actually good Daytona USA. It just had graphics were a bit rubbish, and it would have finished some games off. I think it would have survived that if there wasn't. I think they should have brought out the Mega CD. That was fine. Stuck to that and supported that. Never bothered with the 32X, and maybe handled the Saturn launch a bit better in terms of the price.
Well, they spread themselves too thin, didn't they? Because they were supporting so many consoles. So they should just once they released the CD, shit can the Master System, and then the Game Gear, whatever. And
the Mega Drive didn't die.
Focus everything on the Saturn, but
Yeah, I mean that thing's coming out for it well into I recently got a hold of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 for the Mega Drive. It's actually better than. Yeah, it's better than the Saturn one. It's got more
no, can't be.
It has. Yeah, I mean they've chopped out a lot of sound
graphics.
Well, yeah. Also, they're a lot grainier. But yeah, in my opinion, it plays actually more like the arcade game. I wouldn't avoid playing it in one player because you have that horrific Mortal Kombat difficulty. MK Walker syndrome, where they just constantly walk towards you and throw you.
Mortal Kombat's the cheapest AI ever. But you can you got to play cheap as well. Just keep jumping backwards and forwards, kicking them. Just repeat.
Yeah, if you Liu Kang, you do the low fireball thing. That low fireball.
It becomes great. It just becomes like it's not fun, when you have to play cheap. So
you feel bad for doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, they were still supporting the Mega Drive, and the Saturn didn't really outlive it by much, really, when you think about it. Maybe a year. And the Game Gear as well, I guess, was still knocking around in sort of mid-90s. So. Yeah, they're kind of the architects of their own downfall, unfortunately. But
yeah, that's right.
There we go. Okay, so wow, that was a great little Sega section that we weren't planning on.
We always talk about that.
We love it. Yeah.
So, Oliver, I want to know about your Laserdisc collection, and
yes.
Before we were sort of discussing and with Trev, how do you play them all? You mentioned you got a 4K TV, or do you have an old sort of 28-inch CRT to play them on, or how do you sort of play?
I play through my modern TV. I mean, I only got the 4K TV recently, but beforehand I was using a regular 47-inch 1080p kind of TV, and I don't play it direct into the TV. It always goes through a video scaler. Now, people always say, "Oh, your TV will scale it." It doesn't really. It doesn't in comparison to an actual separate unit, which is basically designed for scaling. So you run it through composite, then scale it up to. Usually, I don't do 1280 by 720. I usually do like a different resolution, like 856 by something else. I can't remember, because that gives you kind of the right resolution. Because when you push Laserdisc too far, if you keep getting it to 1080p, you go up to 4K or whatever, you end up seeing more of the faults within the picture. But yeah, I always play
the artifacts. Yeah.
Yeah. So you always go through a separate scaler, and you get some good results once you kind of fiddle around with the color, the brightness, and the sharpness. Because you have to, best thing to do is get one of those video essentials laser discs, which kind of gives you loads of color bars and different contrast and brightness settings where you can adjust the TV so it's absolutely kind of reference level.
So what is this video scaler? What product is this?
So basically, all it's going to do, I mean, there's so many, because I don't really do them that much anymore, but it's essentially just going to double up the lines of resolution and so you can play it on a larger display. That's what they're kind of really designed for, because back in the day, when you plug in, a Laserdisc to a giant kind of rear projection TV, it's going to look a bit messy. So you're going to need to upscale it so it kind of fits that screen without losing much of the detail. But with video scaling, you've got this other little features and puts into it, like change it from an interlaced image to a progressive image, so it plays back smoother. But yeah, there's loads of little things it does, like different types of noise reduction that comes with it. So sometimes some discs will look a bit like the reds are a bit too much, or there's actually visible picture noise, where the scaler you can tweak it slightly so it removes some of those errors in the picture. But yeah, that's the best way I can play it back. I mean, now with my last TV, running it through a scaler, it looks okay, but using this 4K TV, it just looks so much better. I don't know why. I don't think the 4K is actually doing much more to it. I think maybe because it's actually a better TV, but yeah, it does look pretty good now. But I mean, you're never going to get a Laserdisc picture that's going to match DVD. You can get the best player with all the YC separation 3D comp filter built in, which I've got, and run it through the fanciest scaler. It's going to look nice, but it's not going to match a 16:9 anamorphic kind of DVD of its equivalent. But if you get like a non-anamorphic DVD, like the early ones, like I don't know, it's like Goodfellas or Starship Troopers, like the early DVDs, the Laserdisc, you can probably outmatch that, if you get the right equipment. But the beauty of Laserdisc is the sound. It's uncompressed PCM tracks. So if you've got a good sound system, if you play something like, I don't know, Terminator 2 or Ghostbusters Criterion release, which is like this Dolby Surround digital track, trust me, it'll probably sound better than the 5.1 DTS mix on the Blu-ray, because they often kind of fiddle with the mixes. So, for example, I had Rubbercop on Criterion Laserdisc, Dolby Surround. When he breaks into the drug factory and takes everyone out, the score is pumping and the sound is brilliant. But you play it on the DVD or the Blu-ray with the 5.1 mix, the music's all muted. It's all quieter. So I was like, this has ruined it. The score's beautiful. I want the original Dolby Surround track, uncompressed. And that's why I kept hold of the format, really, because you go by the HD copy and it doesn't quite match it in sound.
Do you find that, obviously, newer films, I imagine you watch them all on Blu-ray or download them or however, but do you find that, I imagine, 50% of the films you watch are on Laserdiscs? Is that sort of an accurate description?
Not particularly. No, it's I do watch most of my films on Blu-ray. Down to if it's something I'm going to review, then I will seek out the Blu-ray, because I need it to sort of transfer the content off the disc onto the computer. I never use the Laserdisc footage for any of my reviews, because it's always going to be standard definition and look a bit rubbish. And trying to rip Laserdisc onto a computer, I mean, it's never going to match the quality, because I've done it, but I've prepared quite a bit of footage, because I'm going to do a Laserdisc format video in the future. So about a month ago, I kind of transferred loads of clips from Laserdisc onto my computer, but it never looks as good as it does on the TV, because you're just kind of ripping a raw signal that's 480i onto your computer via these these USB kind of composite outputs. You plug it in and it takes the data. But I can do some fiddling to make it look a bit better, but it's never going to match what you're going to see on the TV. So I never use Laserdisc for any of my videos. If there's something that is only on Laserdisc, like a clip or a deleted scene, then I will use it. But Yeah, it's I always kind of stick with watching kind of new releases on the Blu-ray, or like if it's something I need to review. But if like with my Laserdisc pickup videos, if it's something I've not seen before, then I often grab it on Laserdisc because it'd be like £5, you know. So
Yeah,
it's not, it doesn't cost much, you know. So yeah, something. So if it's a film I've not seen, I don't really care much about, then I'll just grab it on Laserdisc. But because some Blu-rays you get, they have no extra features. I'm like, well, you know, I don't really need that. I'll just buy it on Laserdisc for peanuts.
now you've got the 4K TV. Have you moved to the you know, the 4K? What's it? Blu-rays? What they called, the UHD?
No, I haven't. No, I've got the Onkyo kind of amplifier, which kind of upscales 4K as well. But then I've got a DVD. I've got a Blu-ray player which upscales to 4K. So
Yeah.
you play like a Blu-ray. It'll say 24 frames, 4K. It does look a little bit better with the upscaling from the regular Blu-ray. But I've not actually seen on my TV. I've not actually watched 4K content, because Netflix do 4K streaming, but they've only got like what, 12 films or something on their streaming service. Well, I'm not paying an extra £2 just to see 12 films which I may not be interested in, just to see 4K. But once the players drop in price, then I'll probably get it, and more stuff comes out. Like, let's say, for example, like Warner Brothers jump onto 4K and start releasing, I don't know, the Superman movies in 4K. I'll be like, yes, I want them. But at the moment, it's like, you know, it will say like things like Sony will do like 4K transfers. It's actually, it's not, it's from a 4K copy, but it's actually 1080p, right? But see, like for example, Ghostbusters, you put that into your 4K upscaling Blu-ray, it does look quite nice, but it's not a huge leap in comparison. So at the moment, yeah, I've still not actually played any 4K content on my TV.
I don't think there's a lot really knocking around, is there? I mean, there's basically, I mean,
There's no
PC games you can upscale to 4K, but I mean, I haven't got a telly to do that, so I probably won't be able to. I'll be running at a horrendous frame rate if you have all the details up, graphic settings and whatnot. And
if something like Dark Knight comes out on 4K Blu-ray, because those IMAX sequences, that will be a point.
A deal breaker.
Wow, this is 4K, looks incredible, or Interstellar, or something like that.
Do you watch the YouTube channel Techmoan?
I did, yes. He did a Laserdisc video, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. A fascinating video. It's probably about a year ago now, or maybe about 8 months or something like that, where he did what was it? San Andreas, the film San Andreas. He bought it on VCD, and then he also bought the film on 4K Blu-ray, because he got a new 4K Blu-ray, and he wanted to compare the two to see which one is, you know, the better system. And obviously the 4K won, but he was sort of saying, well, actually the VCD is you know, this only cost me $4.99, and it's, you know, very versatile, and you know, just to make a video out of it. But it was sort of fascinating how much better the 4K was over VCD, which is no surprise. But it was almost, a lot of the scenes were sort of cut out. You know, they showed them on the 4K where you could see everything, and then on the VCD it was just almost like the middle of the screen.
Yeah. The VCD, obviously, it's got a very limited resolution. It's hard. It's like 352 by 280.
It's basically, it's VHS quality, really, but with kind of digital sound.
Probably worse, I think.
Did you say it was cut? Did you think it was like, it was a pan and scan kind of release?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's 4:3 kind of full screen. Because also there's so little resolution, it's putting the black bars at the top and the bottom. You're even making it look even worse. I've got some VCDs. There's this stuff. I've got a Star Trek collection box set of video CDs. Each film.
They're from like Hong Kong or something, or like China.
Yeah,
they were huge over there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well, there was some released in the UK with the Phillips CDi.
That's right. Yeah, my friend had a CDi. My friend, right, he was in the first episode of Silent Witness. Right, and they filmed it. They filmed it right in my village, and my friends are in it at school. I couldn't be in it because I was on holiday as an extra. But the money he got from that, he bought a Phillips CDi, and it was a piece of shit. And so, even back then, it's like 1994 or 5. He bought that. He had the smaller kind of CDi, but he had like I'm sure he had like 4 Weddings and a Funeral on it, or Top Gun or something. But yeah, I think he pretended he liked it, but I think he knew it was poo, and he wasted his money, because it had a lot of money on that.
Games library. Yeah, the entire games library is garbage. I think probably Rise of the Robots is the best game, which is saying something.
I think it was like, if it was like Burn Cycle, maybe. I think. That was the
Probably
game
it.
for the
You need
CDI.
you had to have the card, didn't you, to be able to play that? I think.
Yeah,
The video card. It was weird though. It was a weird. It's like 16-bit. It's not even like, but with
Nice
really a lot of
bird.
colours.
Yeah, it's basically a bit like the Amiga CD TV, isn't it? Basically,
Yeah.
a bit like that.
That's the idea. Yeah.
But that
Lots of
guy,
different variants,
the Tecmone guy, he'd
Yeah.
his video he did. I did leave a comment on that. I'd sort of chime in because it's coming from his experience with the Laserdisc was the CLD 925 player which he bought from eBay, which he shows in the video, and it shows the comparisons of Lethal Weapon like on Blu-ray, DVD, and Laserdisc. Well, the Laserdisc obviously is the weakest one. Picture's quite soft, but you could be able to. You could get a better picture out of it if you had a better player, and that's the thing. I mean, because a lot of the videos that you see kind of discussing the format, there's another guy discussing the Laserdisc format where it's basically coming from someone who's not actually used the format before, never seen it, so he's just using clips from the 80s of adverts and discussing the format as an educational video. It's very informative, but it's coming from someone with not actually using it firsthand, and it's got like over 100,000 views. I'm like, well, he's not actually kind of used it. You think you'd, put the effort into actually buying the format to discuss it.
It's funny.
Not,
talking about the Tecmone video. He's not actually that enthusiastic. I'm kind of annoyed because when I was watching, because I was like, well, it's not really worth watching it for video reasons. I'll just get the Blu-ray out. I'm like, I still would put a whack on a Laserdisc version.
No, but you don't.
Over a Blu. I know you shouldn't, but he just didn't really get the. I didn't feel
I've got a Laserdisc player. Quality. It's more the experience of classic films in how you remember them. I mean, that's the whole idea, and it's about the collecting them and having the great big, LP size boxes. And I like about them.
It's one of those things where, as a kid, for example, like when they remastered RoboCop on Blu-ray, a lot of people were sort of, not entirely happy with the presentation because you could see all the kind of faults within the picture. Like, you could see, like the suit in more detail, revealing more things, or sort of the slight color correction. But Laserdisc is probably the best way to see an old film how you remember it. But it's the best resolution, like it's the highest resolution video you can get of like just composite video. But there's so many DVDs or remastered films would have added that teal effect to the picture and making it, you think, I don't remember it looking like that, and then so you have to go back to Laserdisc to see it. You have to go back to the LD to see how it was.
I mean, I've got a DVL 919, which is not a great player quality. It's actually the last Laserdisc player that was still being produced until like 2009, I think, in Japan.
That's right,
because it was it's just a cool machine. It's a beautiful gold, huge like beast of a unit thing. It's got a DVD and Laserdisc player. But
does the DVD still work though?
The DVD section. You know what? I haven't tried a DVD in it actually. Funnily enough, I can imagine it look horrendous.
It will look horrendous, man. Like, oh my god! This was DVD back in 1999.
I know it'll be literally the first sort of iteration of it decoding like MPEG-2 videos. They wouldn't put any fancy tricks in there to sharpen it or anything like that, like we have now. But it's I think actually the best quality Laserdisc out of my sort of 60, 70 odd films that I've got is actually Jingle All the Way. It's really funny. Better than my Star Wars, better than Indiana Jones, all that stuff, Terminator.
If you can get a laser rot free copy of Fifth Element, that'll probably look the best, because that's Sony had used like Super NTSC with that, and so it should look stunning. But it's funny because I've not come across a rot free copy, so. It was at Christmas. We normally may have a tradition of, funny enough, you had it on your channel as well, didn't you? Jingle All the Way commentary. We whacked that on. Probably my favourite Christmas film, and it's actually terrible. But it's good to watch. Me and my girlfriend were watching it, and I was like, you know what? This looks really good. There's very little noise. The orange and the reds are a little bit flickery with a bit of analog noise, but it's really sharp. It's definitely better than the DVD release. But then whacked on start. It was I think we talked about this on Facebook actually, Oliver, about the PAL releases of things are normally terrible. I whacked on like the Star Wars trilogy PAL collection, and that looked crap. Barely better than a VHS tape. There's tons of noise.
It was just very soft. The image was very soft.
Was that the
And
special
Jingle
edition
White-
one? Yeah, the 97.
Yeah, the 97 one. Yeah, with the cut. It's great, beautiful cover. I've actually got the Japanese 2000.
That's a
Star
far
Wars
better transfer, isn't it? The Japanese and the NTSC. The NTSC one's
Yeah.
far superior.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it's the 2000 one that I've got. So the very last release of Star Wars, it has the slightly rubbish episode 2 preview
Oh yeah.
teaser thing. Yeah, it's just a re-release of the 97 one, so the image quality is the same, but it's way better than the UK. It's still pretty damn good. I remember for the longest time people used to bootleg the crap out of that, didn't they? Before the George Lucas release decided it was, DVD was worthy of having a Star Wars release.
They did. Yeah, it's all about bootlegging the definitive collection as well. With the
Yeah, that's
original
right.
trilogy. I've got that been around somewhere. But the
I've got
picture on
some
that's
fair
quite
whack out.
soft as well. Picture's quite soft on the definitive collection.
Yeah, I think it was till like 89 was the first. There's a great bloke on YouTube. God, I can't remember his name, but he's like his YouTube channel is dedicated to video releases of Star Wars. That's all he does.
Oh,
But there's so
right.
many.
There's a lot of
but
scope
there's
there
so
for
many.
lots and lots of videos.
Yeah, he's got. I was watching a great video of. You'd be surprised. There's obviously there's been hundreds.
Yeah.
There's he's got the VHS release of Episode 2.
Oh,
There
Oh,
was
really?
actually
Was that? I didn't
Yeah.
realise I did that.
Yeah, in the UK, he had to import it. He paid like 100 quid or something to get it.
Fucking
But it's
nutter.
like I had to ask guys. I had to frantically find a person over in the UK who would be willing to sell me a copy. But yeah, he got it, and but he's got all the Laserdisc releases. Some of them were actually time compressed, which
That's
is where they
right. Yeah,
slightly
fit them
sped
on.
up the video, so everything's slightly higher pitch sounding to fit on two sides of a CLV.
To convert it from NTSC to PAL quickly, speed it up.
Yeah, of the 4:3 or 3:2 pull down, whatever they call it. So they literally just speed it up. And I think the first widescreen release was in 1989 in Japan.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's still
right.
the
It's
very
got the
early days.
white cover, I think it might be a white
Yeah.
sleeve. It has.
Because even before then, that wasn't a common thing on Laserdisc to have. It was only in the 90s that it was like, that was the Laserdisc would have the widescreen version. Well, I've been trying to find the Rocky films, actually. I think only the first film has a widescreen release.
I've not come across the Rocky films that much. No, I rarely see them, actually.
No, I mean, on LDDB, which I'm sure you guys probably use, it's like the mecca of, Laserdisc stuff. Yeah, I've had a good hunt through there, and there's no... I think just the first film got a Criterion Collection release, and the rest just came out as bog standard. Yeah,
Rocky did.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, Rocky
interesting.
one did. I got a Criterion. Was it Criterion, or was it sort of some other kind of special?
I
think it was-
don't think MGM partnered for that, or I don't think Criterion licensed Rocky stuff. I'm not sure. I think they did The
I'll have to
Rock.
double-check.
We might be confused with that.
Possibly.
Not sure.
It was, but there's some kind of Uber edition that they brought out of that in the mid '90s, and that's the only one that was widescreen. The others are all 4:3.
Scan. See, pan and scan 1:8:5 ratio kind of movies will look quite nice on Laserdisc because it's just using more of the picture lines of resolution.
Yeah. And normally you can reach your TV to sort of cut do zoom in sort of mode.
Yeah.
Or something to sort of chop out the bars, and you'll get a nice full screen kind of thingy. So yeah, actually I found it. I'm actually on LDDB now. That was annoying me, you see. No, figuring out where
there's
the
a
hell
98. There's 98 release, wasn't there? Rocky. Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, 98. Okay, no, you're right. It's not a Criterion. It's Deluxe Letterbox Edition.
Just comes
And
with
it
a trailer.
Hooray! Yeah. And it's got it's a CLV and cabs on 3 sides. Bloody hell! It's got Dolby Digital and Dolby Surround tracks. No commentary or anything though. So yeah, there you go. Goes for about
Best to buy it on DVD or Blu-ray then, basically.
basically, yeah. Oddly, yeah. That's one series that didn't get a great service on Lasers, apart from that first film. So yeah. Sorry, Rocky fans, if you're thinking, oh great, I'm going to start my collection with all the Rocky films, you're going to be out of luck. Also put Sega in on LDDB. They had a weird thing of releasing playthroughs of games on Laserdisc in Japan in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah, I had a random Street Fighter 2 one. It's like a mono track with like just a playthrough from like
it's just someone playing
arcade
it.
mode. It's like a loop thing. It plays on a loop for shops, whatever. But yeah, that was weird. People charge a fortune for them. I'm like,
I think it's because
really.
it was the only way of kind of showing a game at kind of, I guess, something that's kind of the resolution of the game itself, because obviously VHS would sort of kill the sort of.
It's sort of an early version of let's do a let's play.
I think that's how we should do let's play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ollie, what's the scope of you producing Laserdiscs and selling? I've wondered, wouldn't it be great if someone made a modern Laserdisc player? You could probably make it super thin. Obviously, it would still be wide to be able to fit the width of a Laserdisc, much in the way that people make, modern vinyl players. But I don't know if could you make this special kind of laser that you probably couldn't make these days, perhaps, or all the.
I don't know. It's very. I don't think. Oh, it'd be such a monumental task to take on. There's so many more moving. Yeah, so many more moving parts within the player. But there's always people on, like Facebook groups talking about, what if Laserdisc could come back like vinyl? It's like no, because they closed all the the pressing plants down. All the equipment's been like decommissioned or it's been thrown out. So I don't know how you do it, how to make them again, but.
I think the one we had over here, I think Pioneer was in like Slough or something. I think that was the big European. You see it at the start of some PAL discs, isn't it? Pioneer LDCE or something, isn't it? They're called, yeah.
I don't know too much about the technology, but it's just the same way you'd press a CD. It's a sort of very similar technology.
So, you'd have to change like how everything's kind of the equipment to sort of fit that that vine, that sort of 12-inch kind of size. I don't know. There's a weird thing. If you go on YouTube, there is videos that shows you like them visiting like Pioneer Corporation in the early 90s. You can see them making laser discs. It's quite cool. I like that.
But if they did the Sony plant, it'd just be a bloke smoking a fag with the ash dropping onto the disc as he glues the guys together. And there's your laser rock, guys. But yeah, I mean, I can imagine you'd have to get a really good quality, master of the original negative of the film, and then you have to sort of find a way of copying that into an analog.
Well, you have to basically telesyn it to like a half-inch tape, videotape, and then a digital tape, and then that will be transferred to a master plate, also with a Laserdisc, then copied off that. But yeah, I think that's how they do it.
But I guess that's not something that someone can do in their home, is it? Or build, I've just got the 35mm printer Rocky lying around.
The sad thing is, because Laserdisc died out in like late 90s, when the late 90s there was a lot of shit films. So it's there's a lot of junk. So if it lasted a bit longer, you could have had some good stuff. I would have loved to have like Lord of the Rings or Gladiator. If it went on for like 3 years longer, you would have had things like Gladiator on Laserdisc, something like that.
Instead, you got End of Days.
Or you just got things like Sleepy Hollow they had, didn't they? One of the last ones. Is it? Is it Bringing Out the Dead or something like that?
Bringing Out the Dead, yeah, quite a good film actually. Bringing Out the Dead
Japan had some good stuff, but I used to have 5 year on those discs as well. That was quite good.
I want to get the Matrix, but that goes about £100. That End of Days that I mentioned, that is very expensive. A lot of the late Arnold Schwarzenegger films, they had a big spate of them.
My friend's got End of Days. It was on eBay like a year and a half ago. Yeah, End of Days. Someone listed it, buy it now for £100, and he got it straight away. As soon as it was listed. That's worth. And people have been offering him like thousands of pounds for it, and he's like, nah. So
I'm on End of Days now on LDDB. Apparently they say mint. It's $100 minimum, but the average is about $331.
Really?
But apparently one has sold for $3,400.
There you go.
So yeah, and that's End of Days. That's what, 2,000.
No point. No point. Let's get it on DVD for our $5. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
This is a whole new world of extremely expensive Laserdisc I just didn't know existed.
But when you hit that last year. I mean, this came out the April 2000 in the US. That is literally the last month. I think maybe Bringing Out the Dead and came out a month later or something.
Like The World Is Not Enough. They go for Mission Impossible 2. They go for a lot of money.
Austin Powers 2.
Austin Powers 2 goes for the peanuts, mate. It goes for like goes for like £5-10.
I paid £10,000.
Quite common. Quite common. Quite common.
I mean, I think the UK stopped about a year before that. Didn't I think Small Soldiers is the last, the sort of like Toy Story rip-off film. That got that was the last PAL.
Did you manage to get hold of it?
There's loads of them. There's like people selling on Amazon, for like £20. There's a few knocking around on eBay for a tenner.
No one wants it. It's the last release as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there was one other thing that was on the same day. The one I'm after is Star Trek Insurrection. The US, there was no PAL release, but there's a US version. That was a very late 2000, I think, or 99 release. But that's not too bad. You can get that for about 50 quid. So that I'm after. But yeah, I'm just kind of what I normally do with Laserdisc. I think, Oliver, you've mentioned it already. I just sort of want to get a craving every few months for Laserdiscs. I just sort of go on eBay and sort of limit it to £5 and just do a search for UK only, and that often I'll pick up 2 or 3 from that of films.
Recently, it's been strange because it's hard because I bid on an item and I get outbid, and like a few days later, the seller comes back to me and goes, "Oh, this person didn't pay for it. Do you want it?" I'm like, "Okay," but I do get the sense that someone's kind of artificially bidding for their friend to sort of increase the price, and then they're like, "Oh, do you want this?" Because I got outbid on Tron. And then a week later, the guy goes, "Oh, he didn't pay for it." I was like, "Okay, I'll have it for 15 quid." It's like the box set on Tron.
Is that one with the silver border on the box?
Yeah, it's sort of the white box, the Walt Disney Archive collection thingy.
Looks beautiful, yeah.
15 quid ain't bad. So, but it went up to like 18 quid, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not paying that." But yeah, it's strange. It always makes me kind of a bit suspicious when I get second chance offers from people.
Yeah, you can often. Do they blank out the amount of rating the person that's bidding against you got? I know sometimes
whenever someone outbids you, it's just private. It's always private.
Yeah. If it's
outbidding
a brand new person. Yeah, if it's like a 0 or something on their sort of feedback, you're like, "Oh, here we go. That's his mate." It's always made to go on and bid for it. But I tend to just put the most I'm willing to pay for it, and then I'll just sit there and hope it doesn't. If it goes for more than that, I'll be like, well, that person.
If I know the value of it, I will just. If it's like 99p, but I know that disc is valuable, I'll put like a 40 quid max on it. And then it's always like goes up by like 5, 10. And then no one bids on it. It's like the last bloody minute. It's like, it just goes up to like £41. I'm like,
it's weird, isn't it?
Help bid me.
But they're also using like an app, but I thought those apps died years ago. I mean, you've only got to like sort of look at the screen and tap in a number now. And there was remember there was this big like cottage industry of eBay bidding apps where it will jump in at the last minute. Yeah, I guess they're still prevalent, but yeah.
Well, the phone app's all right. I mean, just refresh the page and it tells you like how many seconds are left. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if it goes for £1 more than I thought, then I was willing to pay, then I'm a bit like, but
generally, if I kind of put a kind of price a bit too high, but I get outbid anyway. I'm like kind of subtly relieved. So I didn't really need it anyway. So.
Had to explain that to the girlfriend that that's 300 quid that is not going to be available
for food.
For food, yeah. Needs to pay rent. Okay, well, we've been going on now for over an hour. We'll do one more little sort of subject, and then we can all go about our evenings. So you've got a Let's Play channel as well. I think we covered a little bit already about it. So what sort of got you into setting up that? Was that after your movie sort of stuff, or was that before?
Yeah, it was after. Basically, because when I was doing retrospectives on these movies, I'd often discuss a video game if there was one attached to it, and I thought, well, I could just play the sort of movie-based game as a separate thing, and I thought, well, I'll set up a Let's Play channel and just get my friend Richard involved if it was like a 2-player game. But it started out with the notion of playing the movie adaptations. So at the beginning, if you go through my channel, you'll see things like Street Fighter the movie or Batman the arcade, and but then it kind of morphed into just playing anything that I can get my hands on, or like I wanted to play with my friends. It's always kind of arcade. I loved arcade scrolling beat 'em ups. So there's tons of Let's Plays of those games. Because they're so easy to play. They don't require much. Well, they're not much of a challenge. You're not going to lose because you just keep putting in more credits.
Got to bring back that genre.
Yeah. And then it kind of I just do that as a hobby. I mean, I've kind of I do have massive gaps between uploads because my other channel was kind of a little bit more important. But I do like. I'm doing Resident Evil 5 next, so I'll do like a 7-hour video, and then I'm done for like 2 months, But I think because I did like Ghostbusters beforehand, which took like 3 hours or more to complete. I did obviously the other playthroughs of Resident Evil. Richard kind of took over and did 2 and 3 and half of Code Veronica, but it was trying to, at the beginning I did actually a lot more different formats in the beginning. I was playing the Amiga and playing out Super Nintendo and Mega Drive, but I try to avoid Nintendo stuff because of their copyright shenanigans.
So yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't need to give them any more attention, so I just won't play them. So yeah. So also recently I got the Sega Saturn emulator working, so I did Burning Rangers, which I haven't played in ages, and I absolutely love that game, and I still do. I thought it was a really good game, despite the graphics being a little bit glitchy and stuff. But I want to do that Deep Fear sort of Resident Evil knockoff.
It's the last game, I think.
Yeah, it was last UK release, and I completed that when I had it when it came out. But playing it again recently, the voiceover work is appalling. It's so bad but so funny at the same time. So
they were good at that. Sega House of the Dead was cheesy as hell, and Shenmue was horrendous, and that's the charm.
Yeah, so I want to try and go through that again soon when I got the time. But I mean, it's fun doing Let's Plays, but it's not something that has that I want to focus on too much, because it's super easy to do, but there's also moments where I want to play a game. I'm sure you guys have the same thing where you think, I'm going to play a game tonight. And you spend forever thinking about what game you want to play. And you sat there for an hour just looking at your collection. And you think,
you end up going to
I can't be bothered now. I can't be bothered. So you're like, that's the thing I do with Let's Plays. I think to myself, well, I'm going to play this game. I play it for 20 minutes. Just to sort of do a test run, sort of get my bearings. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do this. I find this game too boring. Because you've got to think about, you got to talk. If a game's 2 hours long, you've got to think, I've got to talk for 2 hours through this. And if don't really have much to say about it when you're playing it for like 15 minutes, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
so,
you're not going to watch it necessarily.
Yeah. So it's hopefully with Deep Fear when I do that, that'll be something to talk about, because the voiceover works so bad that will kind of,
provides the entertainment on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow, that's cool. Okay, well, I guess obviously we've probably gone well over an hour now. So we'll wrap it up. Stu, you got to go bed, haven't you? Your girlfriend's giving you evils. Yeah.
Well, it's a shame. It's a shame, Stuart. It's a shame, Stuart. You couldn't get the chance to talk as much as you probably would have liked to tonight.
No, it's a little bit frustrating, and hopefully I'm in the sort of the bedroom at the moment, so I think maybe for the next one I will set myself up in the living room, sort of next to the router, sort of sitting on top of it, with everything wired in, and fingers crossed it'll be a bit better.
Next time we do a broadband speed check, check what your upload speed is, and then if it's too low for what you're paying, then get onto Virgin and go, oi, fucking sort it out, So
you want to do internet?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
doing me podcasts. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to become PewDiePie with rubbish upload speed, Stu. Let's be honest.
yeah. I don't think I'll have 52 million subscribers anytime soon.
Well, I'm hoping Oliver will pull that lot. He'll pull that amount in just from this podcast, right, Oliver?
Well, probably 51.
Let me know. Let me know when the video's up, and I'll share it with my followers.
Well, that would be very kind of you. Well, thank you, Oliver, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. It's been great chatting to you. I think we could have gone on for literally more and more hours. And, if you're willing, we'll get you back on and we'll cover some of the stuff that we didn't get a chance to. And hopefully Stu will have the internet by then, so don't get his weird futuristic evil voice from it cutting out. Yeah, thanks, guys. So please check out Oliver's channel on YouTube. Ollie, it's Oliver Harper Retrospective Reviews, isn't it?
Yeah, just put in Oliver Harper and you'll find it. To YouTube, you'll find my stuff. But yeah, it's been great talking to you guys, and I'll definitely come back in a couple of weeks or a month or so, and we can discuss some other nonsense, whatever's
ramble
going on at the time.
Yeah, cool. Okay, guys, well, we'll be back again. We've got another potential guest queued up. I'm not going to say who, but you'll find out. We'll reveal all closer to the time. And so, yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and see you next time.